Last year, due to the severe epidemic situation, I was unemployed and stayed at home for half a year without any income. I could only rely on financial assistance from my parents in the countryside. Later, a good friend of mine whom I had known for a long time found me and said that there was a job that was very suitable for me and asked me to consider it. Fitness personal trainer. I'll add you to a group chat where there are many wealthy women who love fitness. Roderick, with your great physique, I believe many wealthy women will like you. When the time comes, if you need money, it's just a matter of minutes. You're not young anymore. Even if you don't think about yourself, shouldn't you think about Martha? You've been together for so many years. If you don't find a way to make some money now, do you plan on dragging it out with Martha forever without getting married? At first, I actually refused. Because after joining the group chat, the so called wealthy women in the group were really disgusting and repulsive. But when I thought about my 5 or 6 year relationship with Martha, in the end, I still agreed reluctantly. But what surprised me was that after joining the group chat, the first personal training business order I received turned out to be Suzanne, my good friend's mother. Suzanne is an actual rich person and wealthy woman. According to Suzanne's words, as someone who takes private orders, as their coach is not formal, but everyone knows each other through mutual friends' introductions, so everyone trusts each other. After signing the contract, Suzanne took me directly back to her house. It was such a big villa. The first floor is living room. The second floor is filled with various professional fitness equipment and devices, while third floor has Suzanne's bedroom along with several empty guest rooms. As for the fourth floor, it was sealed with a big lock. I asked Suzanne about it, but she had a mysterious expression and said that when the time is right, I will naturally know what I need to know. Suzanne hoped that I could stay at her house. She arranged a room for me on the third floor. I hesitated, but in the end, I chose to compromise with money. I took some time to message my girlfriend, Martha, and told her that I might have to go back home for a while and ask her not to come find me for now. Martha readily agreed without any suspicion, which made me feel relieved but also guilty at the same time. I felt like it was inappropriate for me to stay at another woman's house without telling my girlfriend, even though we were just a fitness coach and student. The training started quickly on the first day. Suzanne wore tight sportswear. That showed off her figure. Despite being in her 30s, she still had charm and femininity. Throughout the workout, it was clear that she was experienced as she performed many exercises more proficiently than regular gym-goers like myself. There wasn't much guidance or instruction needed from me. Instead, I played more of an assisting role during our sessions. This made me feel embarrassed because it seemed like too much money for what little work I did despite enjoying the process itself. During our workouts together, there were moments where physical contact between us couldn't be avoided, such as when working out glutes where I would need to press down on certain muscles, or when lifting heavy weights where supporting each other's waist is necessary so as not to get injured accidentally. After several times of this happening, my body began reacting involuntarily, which Suzanne must have noticed but didn't say anything about it. At the end of one session with Suzanne lasting only an hour long, which felt too short, she charged $500, which seemed way too easy considering how little effort went into teaching her compared with other clients who paid less yet required more attention from trainers like myself. In our free time together outside of training sessions, we chatted casually about various topics related mostly around fitness coaching. Suzanne mentioned that I was a new trainer with limited connections and opportunities, but promised to help me out by introducing me to more high-paying clients in the future. I didn't think much of it until one day when she approached me about a special event happening soon. She needed a male companion for this event, and if I agreed to go with her, she would recommend me as an elite member within our fitness circle where I could charge at least $1,000 per session. She gave me the time and place to meet up later that night. I arrived at the designated location as planned. It was a well-known gym in the city center, but it seemed to be booked out today. Suzanne led me through the entrance and told me that there were several areas separated in this gym, and we would wait in Area C for now. There weren't many people here yet, so if we were lucky, we might get our turn in 10 minutes, she said. I nodded without asking any more questions. In fact, I didn't see anyone on my way here. 5 minutes later, Suzanne signaled for me to follow her. We filled out a strange survey with personal questions about my sexual interests and hobbies. Some of them were quite explicit. After completing the questionnaire, Suzanne led me into Area C where we waited for our assigned workout task along with another team from Area B. She explained that she would lead our team while I recorded videos on the side. The two teams' exercise videos would be submitted together. Whichever team completed their task faster would receive bonus points, while the losing team would have points deducted and face corresponding punishments. The first exercise task was plank. When Suzanne changed into her tight-fitting gym clothes and appeared before me again, I couldn't help but feel amazed by her stunning figure, slim waistline, long legs, perfectly proportioned breasts, combined with her ethereal beauty and aloof demeanor made her my ideal type. I was completely distracted throughout the exercise routine, which lasted over 6 minutes before we submitted our video. Suzanne's group lost. Canned the announcement shortly after submission. I was shocked by this outcome. Even Suzanne looked unhappy with it too. Soon enough came punishment requirements from the other team. Take off your clothes and take a photo of your body. What an unreasonable request. I felt angry and resentful. But deep down, I was also vaguely looking forward to it. How about taking mine? The other party didn't say whether it's for a man or a woman. Out of professional ethics, I asked her tentatively. But Suzanne just gave me a cold look and said, "No need. I have already prepared the photos in advance enough to pass this test." Upon hearing this, I was somewhat disappointed. After submitting the photo, the next set of fitness tasks came out quickly: bench press. After filming the video and submitting it with great nervousness, the final result was announced. Suzanne's team wins. Faced with this result, I was both excited and regretful. Soon after that, punishment photos were sent by the other side. However, when I saw them, directly stunned. The mole at the corner of the woman's mouth in the photo made me feel familiar. Looking more closely at it again left me completely dumbfounded. Could it be? My girlfriend Martha. Coincidence? Angry flames ignited within me instantly. Without caring about what kind of fitness activity this is anymore, I immediately headed straight to Zone B without saying anything else. But when I kicked open Zone B's door with one foot, it turned out that there was no one inside at all. Where is another team here? What are you doing? Suzanne's icy questioning voice came from behind me. But frankly speaking, I couldn't care less about her right now. Money? For Martha's sake, I can give up all dignity for money if necessary. But if making money means selling my own girlfriend, what would be its meaning then? Who are all those teams in Zone B? Do you know them? I looked straight into Suzanne's eyes and asked her back. Suzanne obviously made me a little angry. Roderick, you almost ruined my big plan. Do you know that? What's the big deal? It's late at night and you called me to this creepy place to play some erotic game. You called that a big deal. Your rich people games are really interesting, but I can't accompany you. Goodbye. I was also angry and didn't want to talk to her anymore. I had just arrived home. Suzanne sent me a message right after. A team from B District, 1 man and 1 woman. I don't know the woman. But the man, you and I both know him. Can you guess who it is? I wasn't in the mood for guessing games with her. Whether she said it or not, it didn't matter. I took a taxi straight to my girlfriend's house to ask her face to face what was going on. But then Suzanne sent another message. It's your good friend, Herman. When I saw the message, my mind went blank. Herman. The reason why I took this job was because of Herman's introduction. So he himself is also in this circle. It wasn't too surprising for me. But now, what kind of situation is this? Herman introduced me into this circle so that I could be his mother's personal trainer, while we played those erotic games together. But this bastard actually turned around and hooked up with my girlfriend. I was furious. Half an hour later, I arrived at my girlfriend's house, knocking hard on the door. Martha, come out. For a long time, there was no response from inside. My heart sank as if plunged into ice water. If Martha really wasn't home, wouldn't that mean she really got together with that bastard? Herman? Wasn't their team from the district them too? My brain went completely blank, unable to believe or accept such a fact. Fortunately, just then a loud bang. The big iron door in front of me opened, and my girlfriend Martha's head poked out from inside. Roderick, why are you here? I was sleeping just now and heard some noise. I thought someone was knocking on the neighbor's door. I didn't expect it to be you coming to find me. As she spoke, there was a hint of surprise on her face. I went from hell to heaven in an instant. Still immersed in this huge happiness, I hadn't had time to react yet. The next moment. Oh, Roderick. What a coincidence that you're here too. Hearing this voice, my body froze instantly as I slowly turned around. But what appeared before me was the elevator entrance behind me. My good friend Herman holding several bags of green vegetables with a meaningful smile on his face towards me. Herman. I gritted my teeth and glared at him. Martha looked confused and turned to me. Roderick, what's wrong? You two used to be good friends. That was before. My anger was about to boil over. Herman also looked puzzled. Roderick, don't call me that. I glared at him and shouted, This is my girlfriend's house. What are you doing here, you bastard? I came here to see my girlfriend. Herman looked innocent. Girlfriend? You dare say that, you bastard. I couldn't hold back my anger anymore. I punched him hard in the face. He fell to the ground with tears streaming down his face. Roderick, are you crazy? Did I do something wrong? Why did you suddenly hit me? Martha quickly intervened. Seeing this scene made me feel uneasy. But after punching him, some of my anger dissipated. Although I was still angry, I was afraid that if things got worse and someone got hurt or sued us for damages, it would make things even worse for me. If my girlfriend ended up being someone else's girl, then having to pay them money would be even more pathetic. Just then, there were noises outside the door. The door next door opened with a bang. A beautiful woman poked her head out from inside and said, What happened? Ah, Herman, why are you injured? Who are you anyway? How can you hit people like this? I'm calling the police. For a moment, I felt confused. Roderick, as I said earlier, I came here to see my girlfriend. Herman smiled bitterly at me. It finally dawned on me that his girlfriend wasn't Martha, but rather this stranger next door. Come to think of it, Herman had mentioned recently he had finally found someone he liked and was no longer single. So it was this woman. It's okay, we've cleared up the misunderstanding. We're all brothers here, nothing happened. Herman pushed the woman aside to stop her from calling the police. This made me feel even more ashamed. Sorry, I acted impulsively. After saying that, I couldn't bear to stay any longer. I just wanted to leave as soon as possible. Next time when I have a chance, I'll apologize properly to Herman. For now, though, let me be alone and calm down for a bit. Martha wanted to walk with me, but I stopped her. You stay at home. My mind is a little confused right now. I'll find you later. Walking on the street aimlessly like a lost soul. Thinking back on what had just happened, I couldn't help but feel angry at myself for my impulsiveness. Roderick O. Roderick, you really are such a useless coward. One was my beloved girlfriend, the other was my best friend in the world. How could I suspect them? My heart felt full of self-reproach and guilt. Just then, my phone suddenly vibrated. It was a new message from Suzanne. I glanced at it, not paying much attention. But I found out. The woman in B district who was with Herman. On the registration form, her name is Martha. My brain exploded in an instant, and I became dumbfounded. Looking at the message Suzanne had just sent me on my phone screen, I couldn't come back to my senses for a long time. What did she say? Martha. My girlfriend, Martha. It must be a coincidence. It has to be. I screamed frantically inside. I messaged Suzanne. Are you sure you didn't read it wrong? Suzanne paused for several seconds before replying. There's no way I could have read it wrong. Your reaction was so big that day that I asked a friend to help me check which team participated that day. Besides the names on the registration form, if you need them, there are also video materials. There are even video materials. The smile on my face had become very stiff and forced. Suzanne knew I wasn't feeling well and only comforted me briefly before giving up persuading me any further. But in the end, she still invited me again. Tonight's event was ruined because of your situation, but maybe it's not necessarily a bad thing. Just received news that all participants were able to avoid police searches due to ending early. Oh, I obviously didn't feel like listening to this, Suzanne said. I found an excuse for you and took credit for it. So even though our team didn't make it to the end of the event, we still gained enough trust from the organizers. I just received a message from them that they hope to find a more discreet and reliable venue through my channel, with time and location determined by us. So, I asked her. Suzanne replied, if you really want to save your relationship with your girlfriend, I sincerely suggest that you continue to cooperate with me in carrying out this activity. When everything is resolved perfectly, I promise to give you a perfect explanation. This proposal made me tempted. Instead of being powerless and angry like now, or even daring not turn around and go back to ask those two people about everything thoroughly, it was better to cooperate with Suzanne. My intuition told me that Suzanne was not simple. She participated in this fitness private coaching circle. Activity may have had other purposes. Even as Herman's little mother identity, I suspect that Suzanne has targeted plans and arrangements for her own purposes. But she is obviously not on Herman's side. Okay, I promise. I gritted my teeth and decided to fight hard. If my girlfriend Martha is really forced because of some reason unknown to me under pressure from that dog thing Herman, then now only one person can help her, me. This time, I will not retreat. Following Suzanne's instructions, I went to the destination. Suzanne's villa. The fourth floor area of the villa, which was originally closed by a big lock, finally opened up for me this time. According to what Suzanne said earlier, this fourth floor area was specially prepared by her for activities within this circle. Now everything is ready, just waiting for those people fall into our trap. Suzanne told me many stories about this circle. I have a sister who used to be in this circle. At that time, the so-called fitness private coaching was not too much, and most of them were relatively formal. The income was not high, and more people joined because they liked and loved it. I don't know when it started to change. In my impression, it was during my college years when my sister suddenly became very rich. She would occasionally send me various high-end jewelry and cosmetics to school, and she also drove a luxury car with many bodyguards following her. I found out later. My sister started as a coach at a gym with low salary of only $3,000 or $4,000 per month. Sometimes there were few customers coming in, which did not meet the standard performance requirements and would be fined severely. It was under such circumstances that she met Herman John for the first time while receiving him as his coach. After getting acquainted with each other for some time, Herman suddenly proposed that he wanted to hire my sister as his private coach. At first, my sister definitely refused. But Herman's offer was too tempting, much higher than what the gym offered her. In the end, my sister couldn't resist temptation and fell into this circle. Upon hearing this, I was deeply moved, because my experience is so similar to this if it weren't for the money. I would never have agreed to Herman's invitation and entered this so-called private coaching circle. The group we joined back then still exists, with many so-called fitness coaches posting selfies and videos every now and then. And those photos and videos are usually very explicit. Without exception, all of them are related to various vulgar and obscene content about women. Taking pictures of women exercising in the gym is considered relatively common. But a few individuals even posted chat records, photos, and videos of themselves having sex with female students in the group. And among the most active members in the group were usually admired by others as gods, one of whom was my good friend Herman. Looking back now, could it be that some of the photos or videos he posted in the group were about my girlfriend Martha? Thinking about this made me feel angry. This circle does make a lot of money. It comes quickly and easily. If you have strong personal qualities and know how to cater to your clients' needs proactively, earning hundreds of thousands or even millions per month is not difficult at all. My sister belongs to this category. She earned several hundred million within half a year. Suzanne glanced at me. Seeing that I seemed somewhat tempted, she couldn't help but laugh. Are you thinking that I'm rich because I earned money through the same means as my sister? Unfortunately, you guessed wrong. Suzanne shook her head. The next sentence shattered all my illusions. all these things that I possessed. In fact, they're all inheritance left by my sister. Heritage. What about your sister? I widened my eyes. Suzanne nodded and said in a relaxed tone, "She's dead, except for leaving me with such a large inheritance." Her death was almost silent, and the police have not yet found her whereabouts to this day, as if she had evaporated from the world without any trace of existence. Is it related to Herman's father? That Herman is his father, right? My mind quickly caught a key piece of information. But Suzanne didn't explain it to me in detail. She just glanced at me and said, "It's getting late. Rest early. In 2 days, it will be the next activity that I promised them. Don't let me down again or mess up my big plan again this time because I won't spare you then." I ignored her warning. My thoughts became clearer and clearer. I remember you are Herman's stepmother. So you deliberately approached their family. Are you investigating the truth about your sister's disappearance back then? And this truth is related to the private coaching circle we are currently in. You're very smart. Suzanne admitted after a moment of silence. I was curious and asked, accordingly, Herman's father should not be unaware of your identity. Background right. If your sister's disappearance is really related to him, how dare he marry you? Isn't he afraid that if you find out something real bad against him, he would get himself into trouble? That Herman naturally has nothing to fear. Suzanne sneered but did not explain much further. So does Suzanne have some leverage over that man named Herman? As I lay on my bed thinking about all these things throughout the night, unable to fall asleep. For hours on end, during which time Martha sent me messages trying to call me. But I refused both attempts until everything becomes clear before knowing what exactly happened between us. I decided to keep my distance from her for the time being. This is good for both of us. But what I didn't expect was that my former good friend Herman would suddenly call me in the middle of the night, and after connecting his first sentence was to ask me, "Did my stepmother, that woman surnamed Tang, tell you anything?" Roderick, don't believe her nonsense. She's a fox who says one thing and does another. Back then she tricked my dad just to get into our family. I asked him what he meant, inwardly though I laughed coldly at him because I didn't believe him at all. However, do you know who the founder of our fitness private coaching group is? It's none other than Suzanne. Roderick, she fooled you. Suzanne, for a moment I thought I had misheard. Was I going crazy? Or was Herman acting up again? Suzanne, she had clearly participated as a victim's relative, and everything she did was to find out the truth about her sister's disappearance. But in Herman's mouth, this Suzanne became the mastermind behind it all. Do you know how this woman with the surname Tang became my stepmother? Her sister, who is also my biological mother, disappeared unexpectedly. Did she tell you about it? If she did she also tell you that her sister's disappearance was related to my dad? She entered the circle to investigate the truth back then. These are all bullshit. Herman's tone was very irritable. I patiently waited for him to continue speaking. Back then, my dad and mom fell in love at first sight because of an encounter at the gym and eventually got married. However, when this woman found out about it later on, she became jealous. So she set up a trap and killed my mom while slandering that it was done by my dad. In order for my dad to agree to marry her, this crazy woman even used what happened to my mom as a condition and made him go see her at a hotel late at night. As a result, she drugged him with alcohol and staged their sexual encounter on video as blackmail. My dad could only agree to marry her. But over these years, he has never gone back to see her. She is just someone who has nothing but the title of being our stepmother, but has no relationship whatsoever with our family. Hearing his words made me realize something. No wonder. When Suzanne married into their family before that wedding ceremony, which I attended to since becoming her personal trainer. However, there were many things between Suzanne and Herman that I didn't expect. But I wasn't in a hurry to respond to Herman's words. I remained silent for a while before asking him, "How do I know if what you're saying is true? What if you're lying to me?" "I'm not lying to you." Herman mourned. I stayed quiet and asked again, "Did you participate in any activities with my girlfriend Martha recently? You better be honest, because I do have some evidence pointing towards you. Don't try to fool me easily." What activity did I participate in? I've been at home with my girlfriend for the past few days and haven't gone anywhere. And as for Martha, Roderick, are you even human? Don't you know that Martha has been suffering from heat stroke and high fever these past few days? She's taken leave from work for several days now. She knows that you haven't found a job recently and are under pressure, so she doesn't want to trouble you. She's been silently bearing it all by herself. But what about you? Herman's tone was full of anger. At this point, I actually believed him more than before. There was some fear inside me, too. Is Martha okay? Herman shouted loudly. I don't know. Ask her yourself. You didn't reply or answer her calls when she messaged or called worriedly late at night asking if something happened to you. Without wasting any time on further conversation with him, I quickly called my girlfriend, but after waiting for half an hour, there was no response, which made me panic. Without caring about the late hour, I immediately got up and rushed to my girlfriend's house by taxi. As luck would have it, I ran into Martha herself downstairs just as she had finished taking out the trash and was about to head back inside. I called you. Why didn't you answer? I asked her angrily when I saw her. Martha looked innocent. I was just cleaning up the garbage and my phone was charging in the bedroom when I tried calling you earlier but couldn't get through. I thought maybe you were ignoring me all day today, so I didn't pay much attention. Sorry for making you worry. As always, she was gentle and considerate. Without thinking of anything else, I quickly hugged her and said apologetically, Silly girl, it should be me who apologizes. It's all my fault for suspecting you like that. Originally, I wanted to wait until everything was cleared up before coming to find you. Martha blinked her eyes and asked me, Have things been cleared up now? If there is anything that can help you with this situation, please tell me. Speaking of which, there has been a question on my mind. When Suzanne failed at the activity with us in Zone B during our time together recently, we received a photo of someone's chest from them. Afterwards, this has really been bothering me deep down inside. However, I don't know how to ask such an awkward question directly without considering Martha's feelings, especially since she is so kind-hearted towards others, even though at this moment in time, guilt still weighs heavily on my heart. But Martha beat me to it by asking first, Have you been spending a lot of time with Sister Suzanne lately? Herman told me she introduced work opportunities for both of us. You already know. For a moment there, I did not know how to explain myself. Martha laughed first instead. You don't have to explain anything to me. And Sister Suzanne, she's not a stranger either. Our families are actually related by marriage, just separated by distance. When I was in college, for convenience sake, I even lived with them for a while. What? Hearing this news surprised me. You know Suzanne, and you used to live at her house. Before, suddenly everything became clear to me. So that means the photo of Suzanne's chest was actually prepared in advance, maybe even taken secretly during the time when my girlfriend Martha was still in college and then brought out again after all these years. If so, this woman is too scary. Thinking about how I've been spending time with her recently made me break out into cold sweat. Herman didn't lie to me. My girlfriend Martha would never deceive me either. All of this has only happened because I've been blinded by Suzanne's beauty and have been thinking along her lines without questioning anything until tonight when everything suddenly became clear. Otherwise, in a few days' time, she might be planning on selling me off, and at that point I may not even realize it myself, blindly helping her count how much money we earned together without knowing what really went on behind the scenes. Thinking about all of this made my anger boil up inside. How dare you plot against me? This grudge must be avenged. Evidence. I have been contemplating all along. Suzanne went through such a big circle to set up this trap for me. What does she really want from me? I am just a poor young man who came from the countryside to work in the city with nothing worth her scheming for. Until the day of our appointment arrived, I still couldn't find an answer. This private coaching event invited not only Suzanne and myself as organizers, but also Herman and his father as guests. In addition to Herman's girlfriend, there was also his sister, a young girl still in college. There were also many men and women who were already involved in this circle, without knowing anything about it. They had genuinely planned to come participate in this event under Suzanne's deception. I've already arranged everything on site. All you need to do is wait until halfway through the event when police personnel will arrive at the scene to make arrests. Then you just need to confess everything you know and tell them all the facts and truth. After it's done, I'll give you a lot of money. Suzanne's words made me suspicious inside. I pretended to agree with her plan, but thought secretly, this Suzanne is really ruthless. To set up Herman father-son duo like that. This time she probably intends on taking down everyone related within this circle altogether. But if not so extreme, then perhaps even police wouldn't easily believe her claims. As expected, when half of the activity passed by, suddenly police officers broke into Villa gates by force. Large numbers of law enforcement surrounded us, all present at once. Every male or female participant was handcuffed without exception before being taken back one by one for questioning at headquarters. At this point, everything unfolded exactly as Susan had predicted. When questioned by authorities, she deliberately pointed out all clues towards me, hoping to guide the police towards a breakthrough in the case. And I didn't disappoint her expectations either. I confessed everything I knew without biasing towards any side, neither Suzanne nor Herman father-son duo. In fact, I only believed half of what they said and told the police all that I knew. The final outcome was not something that I could control. As a newcomer to this circle, there were actually no stains on my record or any criminal history whatsoever. After a simple investigation and questioning session followed by recording statements, I was released without charge. A few days later, however, I received notification from authorities. Herman father-son duo as well as Suzanne had all been arrested. As for those involved in various sexual games under the guise of private coaching, every single one of them ended up being locked up behind bars. It wasn't surprising that Suzanne got caught. It is said that when she was arrested, she kept shouting and wanted the police to call me over for a confrontation. However, I completely ignored her no matter how much she shouted. With my guidance, the police have gathered enough evidence of her crimes. There is no room for anyone to defend themselves. What Herman told me about Suzanne is basically true. The only difference lies in why Suzanne became Herman's stepmother. It wasn't because she dropped Herman's father or threatened him with videos. The truth is that Suzanne had sufficient evidence of her sister's death, and this evidence pointed to Herman and his father. When Herman's father first met Suzanne's sister, their family didn't have much money. His company was also on the verge of bankruptcy and barely surviving. But after meeting Suzanne's sister, everything changed. The founder of the private coaching circle was not actually Suzanne, but her sister, who started it with the help of Herman's father. They made it bigger, and most local high-asset bosses came to them to play. It was said that at first, it was all supported by Suzanne's sister alone. She took dozens or even hundreds of clients by herself, according to what Herman and his son said. Suzanne's sister died from overwork suddenly one day. But that wasn't really what happened. Suzanne's sister suggested hiring someone else to share the workload. But if they hired new female private coaches, they would have to split profits with them, which wouldn't be acceptable for Herman. This directly led to Suzanne's sister's death based on video evidence held by Suzanne as showing both Herman's present at the scene when things went wrong, leading up until now where he could threaten them both. After learning about these facts myself, I picked out some details and confessed everything about what happened before and during this incident with my girlfriend Martha, who understood very well. It doesn't matter. Everything is over now. As long as you're okay. Money can't buy happiness. We'll work hard together and save money slowly. Roderick, I'm still waiting for you to marry me. Okay, I made a promise. But then 2 days later, Herman's sister suddenly found us and gave me a card with $500,000 on it. My brother asked me to give this to you in advance because he guessed that woman might drag everyone down with her. He said these were compensation for using you and apologized. Although it was an apology gift of sorts, but $500,000 was too much. I immediately wanted to refuse. But Herman's sister said, "My brother and father are both inside now. There's only me left alone at home without anyone else, so please accept the money, Roderick. My brother gave this money to you, hoping that in the future you could take care of my little sister more often. With tears welling up in her eyes, she pleaded with us until eventually my girlfriend Martha and I decided to accept the money. It felt like working for Herman again. Fives a million was too much, though, so I took only 100K first, just enough for our wedding. Expenses I assent that reasonable. Thinking about all this, I turned around and looked at my girlfriend, Martha, intentionally showing a lewd smile. By the way, Martha, haven't you exercised in a while? How about tonight I help train your body? A cry, Roderick. Martha had no resistance against him as he pulled her back into their room where they fell onto the bed together. Well, the story has come to an end. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We have more videos available. Please visit and subscribe to our YouTube channel.